Hey everybody, so here is a DIY video. In a previous recent video I did mention making a punk rock or goth metal vest. I talked about making it for my boyfriend for Valentine's Day, but then I decided not to make one for him actually because I got him a vest last year and I don't want to do the same present 2 years in a row. That wouldn't be very nice. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to do one for myself. In fact, I'm going to do a few for myself because I deserve it. I got a new job recently, I'm feeling really good, and I have a bunch of t-shirts that need to get used, or butchered, rather, in the name of art. So, and you guys know I'm good at that. So, I'm going to show you guys a couple of things I'm going to be working with, and then I'm going to get started, really get started, by showing you guys how to create a patch out of a t-shirt graphic. So, anyway, first, here is what I'm going to be starting off using. I purchased this at the Goodwill this morning. It is a leather jacket, or was a leather jacket rather. It is now a vest because I decided to chop off the sleeves and I removed the lining so it can be worn in warm weather. So it's really cool. It's got like these snappy things and this thing that goes around the collar, and then more snappy things, snaps, you know, pockets. And I sniffed the inside of this pocket and it smells like, actually smells like tobacco, so I think someone kept their cigarette box in there. You can kind of tell someone had something in there many times, you know, years and years and years. For a while they kept something there. Pockets down here, and it's got this waistband thing down here which is pretty much worn out. I stretched it out a little bit to wrap it around myself so I could zip the zipper up, and like I heard it crumbling and crackling, so it's pretty much done. But when you're purchasing your jacket that you're going to use to make your vest, always check the pockets and always check the zipper. Check like under the armpits, check the end of the sleeves, check it really good to make sure that there's nothing wrong with it. So, because if something's wrong with it and you can't fix it, then you're going to be in a bit of a stew. This has also got a pocket on the inside right there, so, and with the lining gone you can see the pockets. When you go to remove the lining from your jacket, if you choose to do so, be very careful about the pockets. Know where your pocket pieces are, that way you don't slice through them by accident when you're removing the lining. So yeah, so there's what I'm working with, and this is a men's jacket, by the way. It's a men's extra large because I'm kind of fat. Anyway, and so here's the patch I'm going to use for that vest. I've got, this all came from the various different t-shirts, a Harley Davidson Cafe Las Vegas patch. Move that out of the way. A Teamsters Union patch. Even though I don't work in a place that has the Teamsters Union anymore, I'm still going to use this patch because, you know, it is still sort of a pride thing, I guess you could say. I was in the Teamsters, so technically I earned this patch. So this is from a t-shirt also. It just says Maniac. And then this thing, which is pretty freaking cool in my opinion, this is from a t-shirt that I got at Walmart like 3 years ago. I wore it twice and it shrank and I couldn't wear it anymore. And I was really upset because I really loved it. And so I decided I'm just going to cut this out and use it for a patch one day. Well, you know what? I'm ready. I'm going to stick it on that jacket over there. So first, before I get started actually on that jacket, I'm going to show you guys how to actually create a patch. So as you can see here, I've got this Def Leppard shirt. I'm going to tell you what you're going to need. You're going to need a ruler or one of these things, which is called, I guess, just an angle or a square. So, or you can use just a basic ruler like that. So, the nice thing about black fabric is permanent marker shows up on it very nicely if it's already kind of like faded and worn out. See? You can see where I made some practice marks with a permanent Sharpie marker. And that's what I'm going to do when I go to draw in the lines to create this patch. So, this is another shirt that shrunk and I was very upset. So anyway, because I really do like Def Leppard a lot actually. And so that actually is going to go onto this green vest here, which is, it was a shirt, not a jacket actually, is what it was. And I already had to sew on, I had to alter it some a little bit. I cut the collar off. And as you can see here, I had to put a hanging loop thing because it didn't have a way to hang up. And I cut it to fit me. and then stitched it on my sewing machine. Oh, where's my handiwork? Come on. I threw it on the sewing machine and sewed it. So it is narrower towards like the underneath the armpit area, and then wider down around where my hips and butt would be. So that's the idea if you want to sew an article of clothing like that to fit a woman. You want it to be have that hourglass sort of shape. So anyway, I'm going to get my camera rigged into position somewhere close on my craft table, such as it is. And then I'll be getting back with you guys when it's time for me to start showing you how to make the patch. Okay, I'm back. Now, what I've done here, in this, I got to be fair though, actually better say to be fair, this particular design lends itself really well to patch making, because you've got this wonderful straight line right here that serves as a place to be your starting point. You can line your ruler right up against it and then have nice straight angles and have nice even lines throughout the rest of the project. So now I've already traced here. So what I'm going to explain to you guys, my methodology. So first of all, you want to make sure you leave plenty of room between the edge of the graphic and the edge of where your patch is going to be. You want to have plenty of room to sew. Whether you sew by hand or whether you use a machine, doesn't really matter. You want to make sure you leave plenty of room so that in case you decide it's too big, you can just trim it off. Or if you screw it up so badly that you have to cut it off of a garment once you sew it on, you have plenty of room to cut. So give yourself plenty of room. I recommend an inch for large patches like ones off of t-shirts. So as you can see, I've already kind of made the line, and so I'm noticing mainly that between the edge of my graphic and the edge of where my patch is going to be, it is an inch, just like I said before. So now I'm going to take my tool here, and I can actually see a nice hard line here. This is going to be really easy to cut out, and I'm going to basically just lay it down. And you got to kind of angle yourself, lean over to the light a little bit so you can see where your line is if you're working with a permanent marker. So, okay, now, alright, you want to make sure that it's lined up and even. Right, you want to be snug right against the edge of your line when you put your ruler in place again. And then down here, you want, like I said, you want to allow that space. So you can see here there's like an inch, almost an inch exactly, of space between where the edge of the patch is going to be and where the edge of the graphic is going to be. So I'm going to make 2 passes with my marker. Maybe 3 just to be on the safe side. And markers do smell bad, so you have that to look forward to. Now, same idea going up the side. You want to make sure you're giving yourself plenty of room, and you want to leave the same amount of space actually, so a little far, so I want to come in just a little bit. Okay, I think that's got it actually. That's perfect. And so here I go with the marker. Just going to make pass number 1, pass number 2, and then down at the bottom. And lifting it up. This is shaping up to be very, very nice. I'm really, really pleased with this. And let me check this to make sure I have enough space next to that letter D. And yes, I do. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. But you know what? I'm actually going to come from up here first before I come from down there. Alright, once again, nice and snug and straight. And then trace. And like I said before, if you're having trouble determining whether or not your ruler is straight or is plumb with the design, find something in the design that is a straight angle or a straight line and kind of do it based on that. Just use common sense and I think you'll do fine. I have faith in you. So now I've got a gap here to fill in, and then I'm pretty much going to be done. And I'm actually realizing this is not out far enough. Yep, I can fix this. And since it's black, it's not going to show up once I put stitch on it. Alright. So anyway, I'm going to show you guys the line that I made since it's permanent marker. And you can see it on dark fabric. I'm sure you can see it. Oh yeah, I can see it actually in the monitor on my camera, see? This nice line. And then basically all you do after that is just cut along your line. And then you've got your patch. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. And then as soon as I'm done, I'm going to show you guys the very next step. So I'll catch you in a little bit. Oh, and I just wanted to say that you don't necessarily have to make your patch square. You can actually take your marker and follow kind of, you know, like around the edge of whatever it is you're cutting out. Or it can be more of an organic shape. It doesn't have to be geometric. It doesn't have to be square. Kind of like the patch with the skull and snake that I showed you. Perfectly organic and perfectly fine. Although with organic shapes, that's recommended, I mean, at least in my opinion, I would recommend that for patches that are going to be especially large, that are going to cover up the back of a jacket or vest really, really, really well. So, just wanted to point that out to you. Whether you make it square or organic, it's totally up to you. Alright. It is now time to show you how to pin a patch onto a jacket. First of all, as you can see, since this jacket has a stretchy bottom, I pinned it onto a box. I stretched it and pinned it to the box itself. Whichever the direction the stretchiness is pulling, you want your pins to go in the opposite direction of that. For instance, this jacket wants to pull back this way, so I took the pins and put them so that they're pointed at an angle going that way so that it can't be pulled. So anyway, and also made sure it was centered and everything. And so here's the patch, and I'm just going to make sure, I'm just going to get it centered like where I want it. I want to get it as close up to the top of the box as possible, because I do have something I want to put up here, but I don't like there being all this space. So, alright, you want to have your straight pins as well, and honestly, jacket leather is not that difficult to penetrate with straight pins, so you shouldn't have a hard time. So just making sure that it's centered the way I want it. Checking all my edges to make sure they're not curled under or curled up. And I would say that looks pretty good. And you also want to hold out your sleeve openings to make sure there's an equal amount of space. Alright, good, it's centered. In fact, I would say it's perfect. And I'm going to put in my first pin. I'm going to start at the bottom. And in. And out. See? First pin in. Now, I'm just going to keep checking my arms though. In fact, what I might do is go ahead and pin them next just to make sure, you know, no funny business. Because if you screw up, then you gotta take it off and you gotta start all over again. And that would really suck, because I know a lot of people don't have that kind of time on their hands. Here we go. And the other side. You have to walk around this box. I would just move the box, except I want to keep it in place so you guys can see. And every once in a while, just kind of stretch your graphic tight so that it's not getting loose as you're pinning. So basically what you do is you go all the way around with the pins. I'm going to show you what I've done so far. See, there's the first one I put in, and there's the second one, and there's that one. And you want to have your pins all pointed going the same direction. It's easier to remove them that way, and also you're gonna have an easier time avoiding sticking yourself with them. So I'm going to finish up here, and then I'm going to move on to stitching it on, and I will show you guys that. Toodaloo. Okay, I'm back. So, time to sew it on. But first, let me explain to you what I'm using and why. Alright, now, I'm going to use friendship thread. And the reason is because it's very tough, it's very sturdy, and you can get it wet, it retains its color, and it's really damn cheap. I mean, you don't get a whole lot when you buy it, but it's pretty damn cheap. I mean, you get all this for just a few bucks. I mean, this big wad of thread here. But to touch on the color choice, the reason I am going with red on the back is because the red stands out nicely with the green. And I'm going to use green in the front because the green will stand out nicely with my hair once I dye it purple. So anyway, I considered putting purple thread on here, but I just feel it wouldn't look rock and roll enough. It would look a little too soft, a little too feminine. I'm going for a more rugged tomboy sort of look. So I'm going to use the red thread on the back and the green thread in the front. So, but the kind of needle you want to use to move on, you want to use a large, sturdy, really tough needle. Actually, at most grocery stores or at like Walgreens and places like that, you can actually buy little packs of needles that are for different purposes, like upholstery or leather or denim and for hand sewing and things like that. And also they have a nice big, this needle has a nice big eye where this large thread can fit through. And when you thread this, you definitely want to use a needle threader, and you're definitely going to only be using a little bit of thread at a time. Like, you're not going to use this whole thing all at once. You want to pull it out as much best you can. I mean, this friendship thread does not come easy, really, when you're working with it. You have to kind of fight with it just a little bit. It is a little bit of a battle. I mean, see how I'm having to kind of fiddle with it and fiddle with it and fiddle with it and fiddle with it. I mean, it's a rat's nest. So it's been in a bag and in a box for a couple of years, so. And I think I'm going to go ahead and just cut it off there if I can find my scissors. Actually, no, I'm going to use my thread nippers. So you just cut. And we're going to put the rat's nest aside. And now I'm going to show you guys how to thread needle. For those of you who don't know, of course, I'm sure some people do know. You put your needle threader into the eye. You take your thread, put it through the needle threader loop. Give yourself a little bit of allowance and then pull. And ta-da! You have just threaded a needle. Pat yourself in the back. So, because not everybody is that dexterous, you can do that with one hand. And what you do is you just even up your ends. You can just let your needle drop for a minute while you do this. Get your ends together, match them up. And then what you want to do is you want to tie a nice heavy knot at the end. And you want to leave enough at the end so there's a tail for you to attach the next bit of thread onto when you get around to the end. So you want to leave that in case you need it. Whoops, missed. And you want your knots to all be like on top of each other, like one gigantic, humongous, ridiculous knot, like that. So that's good enough, I'd say. And so now, see, is that close enough? Can you guys actually see what I'm doing? Let me see here. I'm just going to zoom in a little more. Okay. To start sewing, I'm going to come from underneath. I'm going to leave it pinned to the cardboard for now. I'm going to go underneath. And just sort of push it through. Come on, you can do it. And use the cardboard as your helper. Help it. There we go. It'll help you push the needle through. And use a thimble if you have to, because these needles can really hurt your fingers if you're not being careful. And there we go. So what I'm getting ready to do is a whip stitch, which basically means you're kind of going over and around and around and around and around rather than over, under. So I just wish I could show you guys a little better. I wish I could get closer, but my camera does not want to angle quite that way, the way it is right now. So, but the idea of whip stitch is to go back down through and then push from underneath. And again, make the cardboard your helper and pull through. And there's stitch number 1. Not bad, huh? So, and now I'm going to take the camera and actually show you guys a little better what I'm doing. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Come on, go. There we go. So that's what a whip stitch is. You basically repeat that process all the way around. And obviously, if you have it pinned to a box like I do, it's going to get a little too tight for you to get your hands underneath. When that happens, what I recommend doing is just unpin it, but keep it on the box. That's my recommendation for that. So, alright. I'm going to get as far as I can, and if I run into any trouble or have anything I feel like I need to tell you guys, I will get back with you. Thank you. Goodbye. Okay, when you reach the end, and you've sewn your patch on completely, and you've gotten to the end, push the needle through, but don't pull it back up through to the top again. Leave it underneath. Lift up your garment so you can see underneath where the needle is. And then push the sharp end of the needle through, either through the knot or through the thread itself. And then just kind of do like this, pull it through. And then after that, what you're going to do is you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut. You're going to cut right about here. And then you're going to tie like a quadruple knot there to secure that in place, and then trim off the excess thread. Pretty easy, right? So yeah, if you are actually following along with me doing this, then congratulations to you for sewing on a patch, because oh my god, that was a huge pain in the ass. Literally. I mean, look at my finger from... See how red my finger is? And there's like a little bunch of little dimples and bumps down in it from pushing on the needle, and my thumb too. It really hurts. So kudos to you, and keep up the good work, and I'll be back in just a moment to talk about the next step. Okay, I'm back. We covered leather pretty good, I think. So I thought it would be a good idea to move on to the next garment, which is mostly cotton and polyester. And it's actually a work shirt that I chopped the sleeves off of. Now, as you can see, I've already got it pinned, and it's on this box again. The box, like I said, helps take up space and keep it nice and straight. And it is pinned to the box, as you can see, in the same manner that that the other jacket was. So I'll have two up here to help pull it taut that way, because there was a bubble here, and I didn't want that bubble. So as you can see, it's pinned. So the nice thing about a garment like this one that has a seam across the back of the shoulders is you can use that seam as a reference point to get your patch nice and straight. See how I've got the edge of the patch lined nicely up with that seam. So it's centered. I used actually that as a reference point. And that's the nice thing about sewing on a loop on the inside of the tag, is you can see thread on the outside, and you can use it as a reference point to help get your patch centered. So, and also these pleats help a great deal as well. There's another one on this side too. It's got these pleats, and you check the distance on each side, and you'll see that it's centered. So, next, I'm going to sew it on. I'm on the fence about the red thread, however. I really don't know, because I feel like this patch is rather faded. If I do use the red thread, I might actually use just regular sewing thread like this, which will work fine, and I'll just triple it up. Actually, I just don't want all that big gaudy bright red, really, because this is, see how this red's rather faded? I don't want to like really, you know, I don't want people's eyes to be taken away from the graphic as much. I want them to look at the graphic and not be too distracted by things like thread and studs and other things like that that I might put onto this garment. So I'm considering sewing it on using just a basic red sewing thread. And this is very, very old. As you can see, I have no idea how old it is, but it was in a sewing box that was from like the 70s. And I have no idea what the history of this box was, but hopefully it's not haunted. I don't know. So, there's that patch. And on the front of this garment there are pockets, and I will be going over clever ways to place patches on pockets once I get this sewn on. So I will get this sewn on here, and I will catch you kids later. And we're back again. So here's the front. And you can see my patches that I've got cut out. I decided not to use the Alice in Chains patch, it's just too small, and I can't find a good spot for it. So, but here's what I've got so far, and of course later on, like as I wear it more, I can add more if I want to. So, I went ahead and trimmed the Teamsters patch so that it's actually like more contoured to the shape of the print itself. Same thing with the Harley Davidson Las Vegas patch. So, turned Maniac into Mania, and I've got the classic Obey. so I decided what I want to do also is take this old shoelace. These old shoelaces I've had for, oh my god, I was in high school when I bought these, I think. Put them along the seam at the shoulder, like so. I really can't show you very well without both hands, so you're just going to have to imagine that it'll be running along that seam there, and then maybe another little bit of it like across the fronts of the pockets or something like that. So at the moment, now all it is really is just a matter of sewing this stuff on. Now, since you're going to be working with much smaller patches, I recommend once more using the smaller thread rather than the bigger thread. So, and yes, you can in fact sew onto pockets, but don't forget to put your hand inside the pocket and guide the needle upwards and through so that you're not accidentally sewing your pocket shut, which people do that. I said do. People do that. From time to time, they'll accidentally sew a pocket shut, but that's just part of the game. You're going to accidentally have those little boo-boos from time to time when you're doing this stuff. So, that is pretty much it for now. Next, I'll be showing you guys some work I'm going to be doing on this blazer over here. I got this for Brian at the secondhand store, and it's actually like a soft, fuzzy, and, oh, okay, this hanger needs to go someplace else, because it's getting on my nerves. Okay, and actually I think it came from the Gap or someplace like that, or Old Navy maybe. I really don't know where it came from. I just know that it's not really your typical like suit jacket. It's not your typical blazer. It's soft. It's very casual. Like you're supposed to wear it with just like a pair of jeans and a shirt or something. And but it's very soft to touch it. I really love touching it, and it fits him. It's a little big in the shoulders on him, but that's okay because that's kind of how he likes his clothes to fit, a little bit big and loose. So, but it's extremely soft. I'm gonna have to like make him wear it and like hug him a whole lot. So, and there's the back plain. And I'll show you guys the patch when I get around to it. For now, I'm going to sew on some patches, find some other things to work on, and I'll get back with you guys soon. So, I finished the khaki colored vest, and here it is. So, anyway, I think I'm going to do the blazer and other garments in a different video. I think this needs to be concluded because this video is going to be very long if I do anything else. So make sure your garment fits you. Hit the Goodwill, hit up all your secondhand stores. Don't just buy something brand new. eBay is also a good place to look. Make sure it fits you properly before you start sewing things onto it. Definitely try it on. With some materials, you can even try some bleaching and dyeing to get them an interesting color. You can also do things like remove buttons, add buttons, things like that. Your patches, secondhand t-shirts, definitely, or t-shirts that you have that you just can't wear anymore or you don't want to wear anymore. So, just keep an open mind. Definitely do what you want to do. Don't put stuff on your jacket that or rather don't hold back, rather don't refrain from putting something on your jacket just because you're afraid of criticism or something like that. The whole point of metal and punk rock is that they're very accepting segments of society. And so if you're going to go with the metal and punk rock style and hang out with those people and go and dive into the culture, then the whole point is to express yourself. So, yeah. And of course there's always going to be elitists and haters, just like everywhere else. Just ignore them. They're assholes, whatever, screw them, whatever. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, you can definitely put them in the comment section down below. I'll be happy to answer your questions. So, and also some DIYs that you guys want to see, put those in the comments also. But I'm going to conclude this by saying, please like and share and subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you kids later. Bye.